If you want the Reader's Digest condensed version of this video, it is I bought a cheap Flugelhorn and I got what I paid for, effectively. In December 2016, I thought to myself, I want to get a Flugelhorn. I've got a couple of Flugelhorns already. I've got this Flugelhorn here, which is around 100 years old. It's got very clickety valves, the lead pipe is missing, it's not really a daily driver. I've also got this Flugelhorn here, which is a French 2-valve Flugelhorn that I don't really know anything about. It's about 120 years old or something like that, but none of these instruments are daily drivers for me, so I thought to myself, let me get a Flugelhorn. So I scoured on eBay and I scoured on the various auction sites that I use as resources, and I couldn't find anything that was both functional and cheap. So I went to my Chinese supplier, AliExpress, and I bought myself a Flugelhorn there. It was about $240 and it came with the excellent description: American Flugelhorn silver-plated B-flat professional trumpet, top musical instruments in brass trumpet horn. And I thought to myself, how could I go wrong? Well, it turns out I could go wrong in pretty much every way imaginable. The instrument looks like its photo. It's here, but it didn't function out of the box whatsoever. All of the valves were stuck, seized in place. The first valve, when I did get it unstuck, wouldn't actuate properly. You'd sort of get stuck pushing it down and then it'd get stuck pulling it up. I had to actually take the valves out, file down some burrs from the valve casing, re-lubricate it, reassemble it, etc. before that worked. The third valve trigger, which now works passably, was completely ruined. I had to take this assembly off completely, take it apart, lubricate it, and I eventually got it working. Something that made itself apparent to me when I first got this instrument out was that it's not a generic Chinese instrument, it is a rip-off of a Bach Prelude Flugelhorn. Now, it's got Prelude by Bach stamped on the bell here, or I think that's engraved, laser engraved on the bell there. And I bought it not realizing that it was just a knockoff. I expected it to just be a generic Chinese made instrument. Maybe it would have Jin Bao or some other Chinese concoction written onto the valves. I wasn't expecting it to be a Bach branded Flugelhorn, but so it is. So interestingly, Preludes, Bach's Prelude range, and it's not Prelude, it's Prelude range of instruments, are actually made in China. And so theoretically this could be made in the same place where Bach Prelude range instruments are made, though I doubt that. And the reasons why I doubt that are numerous. Firstly, this is made of nothing but the purest, crappiest, reconstituted Chinesium metal that could be found at the local Shenzhen market. It attracts dirt, grime, dust like nothing I have ever seen before, and no matter how much lubrication you use, no matter what precautions you take, if you leave this instrument sitting for more than a day out in the open, or in its case, the valves will stick without fail. I have never met an instrument that you can lubricate up until the cows come home. It takes a lot of lubricant to get a cow to come home unwillingly, but you can use that quantity of lubricant, and if you leave this trumpet for a couple of days, the valves will be stuck. I don't know what causes that, and it's nothing I've ever encountered before I got this instrument. So let's put all of that aside. Let's put, you know, what it pretends to be aside for a minute. And what is this instrument actually like to live with? Well, I bought it for the specific purpose of just being something that I can have in this garage to muck around with. And it fulfills that purpose. It is an inconvenience to have to get the valves working practically every time I use it, but it's not the end of the world. The valves function adequately. The third valve on this instrument is patently too short. Regardless of how much of what note that you play, if it involves the third valve, it's going to be sharp out of the box. I think they've just made the third valve a little bit too short. I think that's all there is to it. And they may have done that because the third valve sits, when you've got this little water key at the bottom, sits pretty much flush with the bottom of the instrument, and perhaps they didn't want to say make the valve in tune because it might have extended down and for whatever reason. I don't know, but the reality is that third valve is out of tune, so you're pretty much always playing it with the valve lever depressed somewhat. But it's not the end of the world. This is my sort of garage runabout hack. It's an instrument that I play for fun, and I'm never intending to play it out anywhere.